How are you guys doing? This is Ryan. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to start looking forward into 2021 and decide what am I going to do with my Robinhood portfolio, which has now reached about $132,000. And also just what do I predict the market's going to do? What is it likely to do? We've had such a crazy year of 2020, but it's really been a remarkable year for investors. I've made a 95% return on my portfolio, and the market has been on fire despite government shutdowns and a pandemic and all these crazy things. So that's the topic for today's video. If you like content like this, stock market investing and chasing financial freedom, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up and also tap that notification bell so YouTube notifies you every time I upload a video, which is every week here on YouTube. And let's jump into it. Alright, so I wanted to make this video because I've made 95% in the stock market, and as much as I want to think I'm some smart, great investor, I have to say that these returns I really don't expect to be the norm. The benchmark I always follow is the S&P 500, an ETF like VU, which has returned over 17% of the market. And my goal with this portfolio was to beat that, to outperform the market, to make sure it's worth my time. Because if I can't beat the market, I'll just buy this fund, which does a terrific job year over year. And the S&P 500 returns roughly about 10% back to investors. My other investing accounts, I just invest in ETFs really. So this Robinhood account is something where I self-manage and try to outperform. Now, something you really have to consider is a lot of times this year's winners are not winners for the following year. The market kind of rotates where value grows from. So me having a tremendous return this year and crushing the S&P 500, on the downside, if the market goes down, am I likely to go down faster than the S&P 500? Is the S&P 500 less volatile? And I'd probably have to say that's a definite yes. And could 2021 be a down year for the market? If you look at something like one of Warren Buffett's indicators, measuring GDP to the market cap of the stock market, you can see right now we're at very stretched valuations. Warren Buffett likes to see the market cap pretty much parallel with GDP or even lower than that to decide if you're getting value or not. So right now we're very stretched on that chart. But does that chart tell us everything we need to know? I'll put up another chart here which shows the overall cyclical nature of the market. And I've said this several times on this channel, but we go into long bull cycles, roughly 20 years or so, and also into 10-year bear cycles. And right now, looking at this chart, you can see we're definitely in an uptrend cycle. And I've explained this several times on my channel, that there's an inverse relationship between commodities and equities. When commodities are too expensive, like gas, groceries, all these things, there's less disposable income to invest and speculate into things like stocks. But when you're having falling commodity prices like we have today, the stock market tends to do really well in times like these. So with that said, I feel very bullish moving forward. And don't get me wrong, next year could be a down year. We're up 17% on the S&P 500 this year. We were up over 30% last year. So like next year could be a flat year, it could be a negative year, but we're still in a very cyclical bull cycle. So it's not a market I would short. It's not a market I would go to cash in. This is a very powerful market to be in. The buy and hold strategy is so powerful. Just look at what Tesla's done for the portfolio in the last year. Just buying and holding a great company is very powerful. Now, is Tesla going to continue having a rise like this next year? I would doubt it. The higher it goes, the crazier it is to me. And like Elon Musk said, if they cannot prove that they can make better profit margins, the market will crush them. So these are obvious risks I have in my portfolio. And with that said, this year I like to build up the income in my portfolio. So we've talked about dividends on this channel, and this month of December, I'm actually gonna hit a record number in dividends paid to my account. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel to see all the dividends I collected in the month of December. And also I started doing what's called covered calls and cash secured puts. So I'll make future videos on that, but you can pretty much make extra income with essentially no risk by options trading and collecting premiums on contracts. Again, stay tuned to the channel. I'll make videos on how to do that, and I will summarize it in my dividends video for December. So make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for that. So the powerful thing about dividend growth investing is that during these flat cycles in the market, great companies were still paying out dividends. And hopefully by the next time we hit one of these bear cycles, I have very large dividend growth positions, and hopefully I'll be like retired possibly. Like that would be a dream, but you don't know. But anyways, you can still make money from your portfolio and do whatever you want with that money. And also, I would like to get into more cryptocurrency this year. The market's had a tremendous year. Ethereum's been one of my best returning assets. I do expect more volatility. I expect the price to go down a lot before it eventually goes parabolic. So I think 2021 would be a good year to accumulate more cryptocurrency, especially on weakness. I think the market's a little stretched right now, but you know, guys, there's been so much money printing going on that all this money has to go somewhere, and it's going to assets. And the reason you shouldn't short the market and get out of stocks is because there's nowhere else to really get yield right now. Government bonds are essentially nothing. Where else is capital gonna go? The equity markets, crypto markets, things like that. The money's gonna find its way into it. There's so many printed dollars out there. If you just look at these crazy stimulus packages created, eventually this money gets in the hands of smart people that wanna grow their wealth. And then unfortunately, poor people get crushed by inflation because they don't invest their money, they don't put it into assets. They only get the higher cost of living. And then you get this generational wealth gap that occurs from people that own assets and then people that just consume or don't really have the proper education on how to grow wealth. And it's very sad. And a lot of people talk about the wealth division in this country, and they never talk about how destructive inflation is towards people that don't invest, and how that is what actually is making rich people richer and poorer people poor. And that is just simply that some people own the assets and some people are just not educated enough or don't find a way to get control of assets. So again, this is not a market I would bet against. I would say some markets have gotten super speculative, like EV stocks. So just make sure you're really doing your homework. There's companies that people just think they're gonna be the next Tesla and they're giving it all this value. Make sure you're riding a good horse. Do extra research and due diligence. I don't think investing will be as easy as it was in 2020 when you could have pretty much thrown a dart at the wall after the market crash and found a great investment. I do expect for Corona stocks to really bounce back strong, and if they start getting back to previous evaluations, I'll look to take profits on some of those. So I own budget airlines, I own cruise lines, I own hotels and things like that. Those for me were shorter term holds, and I like to take that money and invest it into companies I think will be amazing companies for the long run. I like to bet on 10 baggers, as Peter Lynch would call them. Companies like Lemonade, which I really like. I think they have the opportunity to change the world and grow a massive market cap. And then I would also like to buy great dividend growth stocks to increase my income. To me, dividend growth companies are like my bonds. They will pay me forever. And I think a lot of people really need to look at their lives in their portfolio and say, how am I gonna retire one day? And you need income to retire, and you need to hold an asset that shoots off income. So I'm looking at this as like a future pension plan, and I just hope to have positive returns in 2021, not going negative for a year, which that's gonna happen. It's gonna happen to all investors, and it's gonna really test the courage of a lot of people who think investing is easy. But there's also a high likelihood that the market will continue to go up. And be careful watching all of these videos on YouTube. 2021 market's gonna crash, it's gonna do this, it's gonna do that. Nobody could have told you what the 2020 market was going to do, because nobody in December of last year could have told you a pandemic was going to hit. So there's all these variables that are going to outplay, and you have to look at macro trends. You have to be patient. And I think the biggest thing a lot of people learned during this market run was to take advantage of pullbacks, buying the dip. And buying the dip is going to work until it doesn't. But being in a secular bull cycle, I will buy the dip. And that's how I think I will be able to continue to outperform the broader markets. And a big thing that I will be doing in 2021 is I will continue to try to educate myself. So I'm not a genius, and heck, I may just be getting lucky, but I will educate myself. I've talked about several different investors that I look up to and look into: Peter Lynch's, Warren Buffett's, Mark DeMessel, and other friends that I have here in the YouTube community, from Alex with Blood Phantom 81, GenExDividendInvestor, Hidden Freedom Investing, Market Scraper, Manny the Average Investor, Citizen of the Year, Kevin with Adventures in Us. I learn a ton from these guys. I watch so much investing content, and probably a lot of other channels I didn't mention: Marie with Minds in Motion, Rebecca with Quest to Fire. There's so many good investors to look at and how they're planning for their futures. And to me, that's a very good goal to have going into 2021, is to educate yourself more. The only way you have a shot to outperform the market is to really educate yourself. And heck, even if you do that, you can still underperform the market. But if you really want financial freedom, and if it's really important to you, have a strong why into why you should play this game that we talk about in the markets, you'll be driven to the content. Heck, if you made it this far in my video, you're probably very likely to succeed, just because this is something not everyone talks about. And a lot of people don't have a lot of great education too. And it's funny, this year that my portfolio is growing and I do it on a public platform, I've had more people starting to come to me recently asking, hey, I'd like to pick your brain on this. But do understand this is not financial advice. This is just meant for entertainment purposes and motivation and maybe educational. So I want to know what you guys are doing. What are your plans for 2021 in the market? What do you expect the market to do? Do you have any predictions? Is there any particular sectors or asset classes that you think may outperform the stock market? I'd love to hear it all down in the comment section. And as always, guys, I appreciate all your support. And if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. And if you just want to give me a thank you for making this video, please give it a thumbs up. And also, if you have hit the notification bell on the channel, actually try untapping it and retapping it. I've noticed the channels that I like to watch, I haven't been getting their notifications. So just kind of make sure that's on if you wouldn't mind. Us small YouTubers need a little bit of love. But guys, have a great, safe week with the family. Enjoy the cooler weather for the winter, and I'll see you in my next one.